Hey, everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Draft here. It's our summer series programming. Aside from the bracket, we'll mention that in a little bit. I'm Erik, that's Christian. I probably just pointed the wrong way because I have no idea where you are on my screen. But a lot of news this week, Christian. The big thing over the weekend, depending on when you watch this, was the opening of Inside Out 2 and how well it did, and it smashed records for best opening weekend for an animated feature film. And that got us thinking, as it always does, is what is the theme park presence of this franchise look like moving forward? California's got it a little bit already. Is it going to change out here? Does Florida get some sort of a presence that's better than it was? I'll let you start and give your initial thoughts.
My initial thoughts are that the current presence sucks, so it needs to be up no matter what, because Flix Flyers turned Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind or Whirl Around or whatever it's called is the worst thing that's ever been built into Disney Park, and there's been a lot of bad things. Maybe not the worst thing, but it's pretty bad. So I would love to see something new. That being said, these numbers tell a lot, right? And we've gotten a lot of different things. I still haven't seen the movie. I'm hoping to see it sometime this week. But from what I've heard, it's a great movie. It's a Pixar's back to form kind of thing. And, certainly I don't think you have to rush to, we had a great opening weekend. We have to build a whole land about it, right? Like, we don't need to jump there. Yeah. But I do think you could increase the presence in the park. Anger debuted at Disney California Adventure as part. They've kind of labeled it as just part of the Pixar Fest celebration, but I can't imagine they're going to take him out. I would imagine he'll be kind of on a rotation with joy and sadness, and it wouldn't be the most surprising thing to see some of those other characters get costumed meet and greets, and then maybe down the road, maybe it's part of Disneyland Forever. Expansion talks out in Walt Disney World for every single theme park they have out there. How they can kind of implement it. But that being said, for as successful as the first movie did, it deserves a lot better than Flix Flyers 2.0. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't think that they anticipated this movie, the first time it was released, to have the power that Frozen did, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know when Frozen 2 came out. I know it's been a while now, but now we're getting lands around the world dedicated to it. We're probably going to get one here, like you said, as part of that Disneyland Forward project. So as far as this particular franchise is concerned, is it going to get an attraction here on the West Coast? I don't know, because we already have one. I know you said you don't like it. But one of the things I've noticed from Emotional Whirlwind is that, you know how people take like selfies when they get on an attraction, like they're in the ride vehicle? Mm-hmm. I see more people taking pictures in front of the core memory wall than they do on the attraction.
So. Well, here's the thing, Eric. Here's the thing. And granted, you would have to move the wall. But they already had an attraction that they could retheme that would have been a perfect retheme. And so this goes a little bit more to, shouldn't the whole area be Pixar Pier and not just the back half? Right. I thought Goofy Sky School could have been an emotional roller coaster. Because it already is. I already have a lot of emotions on that roller coaster. They've already rethemed it once because it was Mulholland Madness. Then they made it Goofy Sky School. I thought they could have done that, but then that brings up the Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure into the conversation of, okay, well, if everything else is done,
they're not touching that.
Yeah, and they need to, because it's a terrible attraction. But that being said, I thought they already had a perfect opportunity, but instead they took the old Maliboomer corridor or corner, and then they turned it into the old smoking section corner, and then they turned it into the Inside Out corner. It's just an odd placement in that roundabout of the Incredicoaster. It's such an odd placement of that attraction that I think they have plenty of room to kind of grow from that.
Well, do you think then maybe they do redo Goofy Sky School and make it like you're one of the core memory balls, right? And you're rolling around on that Wild Mouse style coaster, and then you take Paradise Gardens Park and redo that to where it's all inside out. That might be a little overkill.
I think
two attractions that close to each other, themed after the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is I don't think you can keep one without the other. Yeah. I don't think you can keep the old one
right.
and build the other. So you'd have to make that call. I still think the Paradise Gardens Park, I love pizza and I love pasta, but there's no excuse for that not to be a ratatouille area. Come on, Pixar. You can do this. Just take the whole park. But then again, you've got the celebration of Coco and all the other things that happen throughout the year. Viva Navidad. If you do any of this Pixar retheme over there, all that goes away. So that's another thing they have to kind of think about, because it'd be weird to have like the Three Caballeros walking around in the Pixar area, you know?
Right, and I don't think they want to make Coco permanent because it does so well as a a seasonal offering. So yeah, as far as an attraction is concerned out here in California, I don't think so. Now, if we're talking about on the East Coast, there's a perfect opportunity and a perfect place to be able to put an attraction based around this IP, and that would be in the old Wonders of Life Pavilion that they told us they were going to redo and then never did. So, I mean, you had an attraction in there before, right? That was kind of sort of based on anatomy and biology. This is more emotional, but still kind of in the same realm.
Yeah.
Do you go back to the simulator thing? I know we yell about simulators and screens all the time, but I mean, this is Inside Out we're talking about. You just need something for the kids. It doesn't have to be anything all that intense. So maybe we see something going there now that, you know, and we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago on one of our previous episodes about they can have all the plans in the world they want going forward, but then something like this happens where maybe you didn't anticipate it to do as well as it did, and that's just going to change your plans entirely.
Well, yeah, and that's the tough part about the theme park business is, yes, and look at this opening weekend that Inside Out had, the biggest opening weekend for an animated film in the history of movies. The soonest you're going to be able to pump out a ride is at least 2 years from now. If it's a good ride, you can go like they did for Animal Kingdom or parts of California Adventure. You can go purchase an attraction off of a state fair truck and then bolt it to the ground and be like, "Oh, look, it's a Disney ride." But if you're going to actually design, I mean, look at how long it's taken just to redesign Splash Mountain. So you have to try to keep that hype, and so I think you immediately have to start working on Inside Out 3, and you have to pray that it does well when you also release it alongside a new Inside Out attraction. That's the tough part about this business, is predicting those IPs that do really well,
right,
to build an attraction around it, and hopefully that IP doesn't die out by the time you open an attraction.
I wonder what the John Carter attraction looked like. they had to throw away almost immediately. The big rumor floating around now is, does it go into the Imagination Pavilion and maybe replace Figment? And I know we are huge critics of that version of this attraction, but I swear to you, if they take out Figment, I will be at Home Depot going to get my pitchforks and torches and be on the next flight. I don't think they let you carry that on the plane, but I'll figure out a way to get down there.
I'm sure there's a Home Depot in Florida. You do talk about the fact that, you know, it could go into Epcot, right? You could go to the old Wonders of Life Pavilion. You could go into the Imagination. I don't think they'll ever sidestep Figment. I mean, you could do something else. There's room in that area. Get rid of the theater, the old Captain EO theater, and, you know, everything else they've done over there. You could do that. But I also see spots for Inside Out in Hollywood Studios. Like, there's a bunch of room in Hollywood Studios where Lightning's Racing Academy, like, that's a terrible attraction, and you have so much land over there. We talked about it last show, you know, that Walt Disney World will never be having an issue with land. There's always going to be places you can build. Does it belong in Animal Kingdom? No, but neither does Avatar and Indiana Jones and anything else, so it could go there anyway. You do whatever you want.
I think the emotional themes of the film lend it to Epcot the best, because the edutainment, right, aspect. So I would expect to see something pop up there if the momentum from this film, you know, keeps up, which for all intents and purposes right now looks like that's going to be the case. So like you said, probably a couple of years away from them being able to develop anything, and, you know, D23 is right around the corner. I don't know that they'd have anything ready for that. Or maybe they, you know, who knows? Well, what if they just come out with a slide and they say, "What if we put Inside Out into Epcot?" You know, like,
or what if they were, what if they were planning on a big weekend? What if they were planning this and they've already got stuff in the can for, you know, an Inside Out thing there? You know,
it almost feels like, you know, well, it doesn't feel like it should be true that if you plan for something, it's a lot easier to scrap it than it is to put something together and throw it in there last second.
Well, certainly.
And I don't really know what the philosophy is behind the scenes anymore. It seems like it's both.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Galaxy's Edge, like Galaxy's Edge had all these plans and it was cut. And then next thing you know, it's what if we build something beyond Thunder Mountain? So yeah, it seems like it's kind of whichever way the wind blows. So hey, maybe we'll hear something. I don't know.
Yeah, we could. It'll be exciting. I'm excited for this. Pixar has needed a heavy hitter since the Toy Stories. Well, since Toy Story 4 happened, because it was great up until that. And I was one that was like, yes, give us Toy Story 4. That like everybody's like, oh, we should have stopped at 3. No, give me Toy Story 4. Let's see. And then after the movie, I was like, why did you do that? So, Pixar has needed one of those really successful franchises, and people showed out this weekend saying that Inside Out's one of them. Inside Out is one of them. And I'm a personal fan of Luca and a couple of the other ones, but they need something that they can go back to and say, boom, let's do another Inside Out movie. And at least judging from the first weekend, Inside Out 3 will be well received.
Oh, and also keep in mind, a lot of those other movies ended up being released when we weren't allowed to go to the movie theater.
Disney Plus. Disney Plus.
And right releases. When Disney Plus was coming out and they were trying to maneuver all that. So maybe that plays into it. Who knows?
I never bought a premium subscription to watch a movie early. I always waited it out.
Did I do it? I may have done it for Black Widow.
No, that's unfortunate.
You know me. I'm big with the Marvel. So
me too.
I think I did it for Black Widow, but I didn't do it for anything else. Those ones I waited out.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen Mulan.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I don't really have any plans.
If Mushu's not in it, what's the point? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of like historical stuff and like very nice ritualistic stuff, but if the Eddie Murphy voiced dragon's not in it, I'm not coming to the party, man.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of interest in the live action stuff, and I'm not saying don't do it. Everybody's got their niche, right? It's not for me. But go ahead.
Well, and I heard a report.
Get the millions, make whatever you want.
I don't know if it's a real report or not, but I heard a report this weekend that Pixar was like, we're not interested in doing live actions of our stuff. And gosh, how much of a like sigh of relief is that? Like just a breath of fresh air of no, we're going to let our stories be the stories, because like there's some of them, like I enjoyed the Beauty and the Beast live action, even though there was a little bit of auto tune that people picked up on some of their singing. I enjoyed it, but like Aladdin was good too. But like the Lion King, I'm like, it was already animated animals. Now it's animated animals.
Now it's animated animals again. Yeah.
Like there's some things where I'm like, guys, or Jungle Book, that wasn't a real tiger talking. Like at some point, I'm like, guys, do we really need to call it live action? Can we just stick to the old basics?
Yeah, I didn't see any of those. I didn't have the interest. I mean, I don't get mad when they get made like some people do. What are you doing? Why are you gonna just who cares? Just don't watch it then.
Yeah. What a concept.
It's not that big of a deal. You don't gotta complain about it.
What a concept. You could just watch what you want and then not watch what you don't want.
I told a buddy of mine I have that that bias, that natural bias that occurs whenever I pay to go see a movie. I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like it from start to finish because I paid for it. There's a reason I came to see this. There will never be a time where I was like, wow, I didn't like that. No, I liked it because that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I'm not here to rip this thing to shreds.
That's me.
It's not. That's yeah. I know that's not me.
That's this guy. Anyway,
I'll be entertained one way or another.
Yeah, Inside Out. I'm excited to see it. I'm gonna go see it in the theaters this week. I'm just trying to find a time we can do it because I've been waiting for a good Disney movie to come out, so it seems like we got one of those.
Yeah, I'll probably wait for Disney Plus.
That's fair.
I don't do animated movies in theaters. I don't think it's necessary.
You must not have a 2-year-old at home.
Well, no, I do not. That's why I just don't see it as necessary. I don't really see. The only reason I go see Marvel movies like opening weekend is because I'm on social media a lot, and it's going to get spoiled. Like I've seen a ton of stuff about Inside Out this week, and none of it spoiled the movie for me. Marvel, it gets ruined immediately.
I already saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch it. That's like spoilers for Inside Out 2, and I was like, "What? Really? Like
yeah." See,
we have to dive into every movie?
Yeah, which is fine. At least they let you know up front that hey, there's going to be spoilers here. But like with Marvel stuff, they just go out and say like, "Oh, that one scene when blah," and I'm just like, "This is why I have to go see this on opening day."
Mm-hmm.
No other franchise ruins stuff like that for me than that one.
Yep. And then you still go see it anyway.
Yeah. The last one I saw in the theater was, gosh, was it Wakanda Forever? It might have been.
Man, it's been a while.
And the projector broke.
I'm just saying, it doesn't matter what day we're recording this, so we won't tell people, but I bought my tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine tonight. Or for that night. So opening night, baby. Opening night. We're going back to a Marvel movie on opening night. Let's go.
I usually don't do opening day anymore. I might do opening weekend, but for Deadpool and Wolverine, I haven't decided yet. I'm excited for it. The movie theater experience for me isn't what it used to be.
12:45 in the morning, opening night.
Really?
Let's go.
Yeah, no.
The last time I did a midnight showing, I was not 30. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, my last midnight showing, I want to say was one of the Christian Bale Batman movies.
Woo!
And it might have been Batman Begins.
Yo.
Yeah. I can't. No. I'm too old for this, man.
That's all right. That's all right.
But, you were talking about an attraction that got redone a few times over in Goofy Sky School, right? It's on its second iteration. Well, we're about to see an attraction get its third iteration. Of course, I'm talking about Test Track over at Epcot, which we recorded this the day after it closed. So its last day of operation was on Father's Day. And everybody got their last rides in, although it did go down for a couple hours on its final day, from what I hear.
Wouldn't be a Disney attraction. Wouldn't be a Disney attraction.
That's how it goes. I didn't have a problem with the current iteration. Was it a downgrade from the original one? Yes. Did I have a problem with it? No. I was a huge fan of being able to design your own car and seeing how it performed. And then you got to make a little video and send it to your email, and you got to see it when you get home, type of thing.
Yeah, that I don't know.
But, I mean, it felt. I know people like to call it Tron, which it did totally feel like that. The new version did anyway. But I mean, I loved all the different stress tests that the car went through on the original version. So to see what they're going to do with this third version, which is supposed to be centered around, World of Motion, which was the original attraction that was there. That's intriguing to me. How do you blend the old with the new?
Yeah, and well, I will say I miss old Test Track more than any other old ride, I think, because the part where you would hit the brakes and you would knock the cones over and all that, like that kind of stuff felt so cool versus them just kind of, obviously they didn't change the track when they redid it. They just changed the things that happened around you. But when you went through that sweltering hot room and then you got into the ice cold room and then it made you think that you were going to slam into the wall, but then it, like all of that stuff, when you were the crash test dummies, I thought that was genuinely, and you got to remember, that was when I went to Disney World for the first time was 2002. So, and I'm let's put a date on me. I'm 8 or 9 years old at that time. That was the coolest ride that I got on, was Test Track at that time in that era of it. So I didn't love the futuristic stuff. I didn't love the projections on the walls and that Tron-like feel. And look what your buddy next door designed. He's kicking your butt. Like I don't know. Like I was also the one that was just like, who cares about the efficiency? Give me the most giant.
Yeah, I got to that point.
Give me the gas guzzler, baby.
Was it me? I can't even remember if it was me or my brother made one time that was so big that in the, when it used to put it into like this pre-made video and it would send to your email, it actually couldn't render the tires that he had put on it. So it was cruising around with no wheels.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But yeah, stuff like that where you would just do ridiculous things. I mean, because you've ridden it so many times. Well, I think if the two versions of the ride were flipped, I think it would have done better historically.
Sure. I think I also go back to, I mean, we talk about different pre-shows that we see at a Disney park, and the pre-show for the original test track, okay, we're gonna give them test course number 1, 3, and 7. They're like 7, yeah 7. Like that, there was just things like that, and I think you lost that when it was just walk up, scan your magic band, put your stuff in. I don't know. I think there is something to being in a room with 30 other people and them kind of giving you the pointers of the ride, make it comedic a little bit like they did. Oh yeah, give them number 7. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I like that end of things.
Yeah, I do like the design podiums, but the rest of the queue was just standard. And with the original attraction, right, you had all the different aspects of testing pieces of the car out in the warehouse. So I missed that part, but I did like designing the cars. Maybe I'm sure I'm in the minority there, but I did really enjoy that part.
Yeah, you are.
But we'll see what they do with it and how long it's going to take. I don't know if it's going to take as long as Tiana's will take, which wasn't very long, honestly, but hopefully it goes quick.
I heard 2 years. I heard they were closing for 2 years, and that, Brandon, now that you have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind there, that does lessen the effect of closing down Test Track for 2 years, but that's a long time in that theme park without one of its peak thrill rides. That is almost more interesting than anything of them being able to say, no, we need to do this. Like, that was kind of my, the fact that they're closing Test Track for any significant amount of time means that they think they're in a spot with Epcot where they can, because if you go back 10 years ago, closing down Test Track takes away a lot more than it does now, I would say.
I wonder now how long it'll be until the whole virtual queue thing for Guardians will last with Test Track being closed. Because they're going to want to open that thing up to suck people in right now. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well, Eric, one of my favorite things I did this weekend was I actually went to downtown Disney because I wanted to see this new entrance in person because I was ready to be disappointed. I was ready to be like, oh, yeah, the pictures look cool. Dude, walking up to the place, I was impressed. And I had gone right after they took all the walls around Din Tai Fung down. So I got to see that open walkway, the walkway along the other side, the grassy area that they had already opened for the concert or that stage venue area seems way more in place between these two walkways, and I was impressed. I told you that night because I was texting you, I was like, this is giving Irvine Spectrum vibes. Which, if anybody, there's plenty of people who aren't from Southern California listening to this or watching this. Irvine Spectrum is just down the 5 freeway from Disneyland Resort, and it is a outdoor mall area, and it is a very popular place to go and just hang out. And this felt that exact same way. And then I sat there and I looked at the stage, and what do I see behind it? The old Rainforest Cafe and ESPN Zone. And it was at that moment where I was like, okay, that's next. They're definitely going to take those out because it definitely doesn't vibe with the rest of what they've built. Now, part of this Disneyland Forward project and all that kind of stuff is, I'm assuming, doing more over in that area. But my gosh, just the entrance alone, Eric, it was beautiful.
Oh, that's good. I don't hear you say you're impressed very often. So I'm glad that it worked out that way. Yeah.
Honestly, I was ready to hate it. I walked in, I was like, no, this is going to work.
The biggest mystery of all is what's happening with the ESPN Zone building and the Rainforest Cafe building. I know they're putting a temporary Earl of Sandwich location over there by the Rainforest building.
Looks terrible, by the way.
Yeah, because they need it for when Portos comes in, and then I started reading some things, and I don't know if this is me just getting...
If Portos comes in?
Yeah, I don't know if this is just me getting too deep in the weeds in the internet, but, there's rumors starting to float around out there that maybe this isn't going to happen now, and I don't know. I mean, that the downtown Disney district is always the biggest wild card just because of how many locations it holds and how often things are changing in and out. I mean, we saw California Soul left their location. Wonderground Gallery is in there now, and the dress shop moved over to where Wonderground Gallery was. It's really a musical chairs of locations over there in the district, which makes that district unique. I mean, it's almost getting to the point now where you don't know what you're going to see when you walk there every time you show up, which I guess is kind of good because it, keeps the allure alive, and it's always evolving, which kind of sticks with the theme of Disneyland and DCA, and that it's even downtown Disney will never be complete. I'm sure Walt would say nowadays. And then you talk about where Tortilla Joe's was, which is now gone, and even that's going to have some new restaurant offerings in there too. And you and I were talking just before we started recording this, is how long is that going to take, and when will that get announced?
That was the weirdest part of walking through downtown Disney the other night. Was it felt very ESPN zony, like that. Oh, okay, there's nothing there. But the difference to me in this is ESPN zone is right next to what now is the cast member parking lot, right? So yes, people walk over through to Mickey and Friends and Pixar Pals and all that kind of stuff. But ESPN zone is off to the side, where Tortilla Joe's is right in the middle of downtown Disney. Like it's stuck out like a sore thumb that there was nothing going on there. Splitsville still got everything going. They've got that little alley thing in between the old Tortilla Joe's building and Splitsville now. That's all lit up. And then there's the Tortilla Joe's building, and it looked bad. And so my immediate thought was, oh, well, they'll do that real quick. But I also thought that about AMC and Rainforest Cafe and ESPN Zone. And so far, only one of those three things has been removed. So, I also wonder, how long is this going to take? And if you have all these other projects at Disneyland, at the Disneyland Resort going on, is downtown Disney going to get forgotten in that? And this building going to sit there and rot? And I know they've already got plans. They've said that stuff's going, but it's like, dude, I've never been more excited to see walls go around a building. Like, why is the building just sitting there? Like, I could jump over the little metal fence and sit in the patio of the taqueria area. That's weird to me. Like, why is there just a closed space sitting there? Like,
well, that building's not coming down, right? So they're just going to work on the interior and then eventually paint the outside. So for all we know, there could be work going on the inside, and we don't see it. And that building's not little; it extends pretty far back. So there could be work going on in there that we don't hear and we don't see. Obviously, I have not been to the downtown Disney district in quite some time, so I don't know what it looks like. But I've been in that Tortilla Joe's building plenty of times, and it ain't little. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in there. Of course, Disney said that it's going to be a steakhouse and a barbecue joint, two different locations, which the building is big enough to have a location upstairs and downstairs. There's a staircase right inside the entryway that'll take you up to the second floor for those who haven't been inside. So we'll see. Like you said, how long is it going to sit there? And there's so many projects going on in that district. Plus, they have to take into account Disneyland Forward, because I just get the feeling that the Zone and Rainforest Cafe are just going to be leveled eventually. And they're just sitting there being used for whatever Disney's using them for right now.
Star Wars merchandise.
And I know there's some administrative things in the ESPN Zone building that's happening, but aside from that, I don't think another business will move into those buildings because they need the space. And then it just becomes a matter of when will we get shovels in the ground for Disneyland Forward. But I'd imagine those will probably be the first two things that get touched once they start expansion. And, we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about how the new parking structure over on Harbor has to go up before anything. That's all well and good, but the Zone building and the Rainforest building can come down before anything also, because they're not being publicly used right now. So those might be the first two things you see come down. I'm no construction expert. I don't have documents or anything. I'm just speculating. So it's going to be a wild time to watch and see how they go through this progression.
Also, the other thing I noticed, well, first off, that whole Parkside building isn't quite ready, right? But the really cool thing is I could look up and see the bar that they've teased, the second floor bar. I can see the bar overhang because they've got it all steel. They're working on the decor of everything. But boy, did that look cool. And so my next question for downtown Disney, and this is, I would assume, a long-term project, is does new downtown Disney envelop old downtown Disney? Because you can tell where the pavement changes. You can tell where it becomes, this has not been redone recently. And so the question then becomes, do they go all the way through?
Yes, I would say yes. I have no information on this whatsoever, but I would say yes. And sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to get my reason in before I forget.
I understand.
Because I forget all the time. If you look at Naples and you look at Splitsville and you look at Jazz Kitchen, right, what they did with those 3 buildings and how they look similar now, and they're not like right near each other. Yeah, Jazz Kitchen and Splitsville are right near each other, but like Naples is far down the way. So you kind of get the feeling that all of these things are going to eventually looking somewhat like that, but I wouldn't expect it to be anytime soon.
Yeah,
it's going to take a long time.
That's the, I mean, because those of us that have been going to Downtown Disney over the last couple months have seen walls move, and they're doing this flooring now, they're doing that flooring now, and the question is, how long does that take to get all the way through the entire Downtown Disney district? And is Porto's going to is Porto's going to completely level La Brea? Not La Brea, it's not there anymore, but the current Earl of does that building get leveled, and do you have to build around that? And all of this kind of thought goes through your head when you're walking through. I'm like, all the planners are going to look different. Like, there's a lot that would have to get done for them to kind of meld everything. That being said, like I said at the top of this, it looked so good. The vibe. And I hate the word vibe. I never like using the word vibe, but the vibe's there, man. You feel it walking in. This is a different area.
Hold on a minute. Did you just say that with the word being literally on your shirt?
Vibes overrides. Mark Bricky. I love the shirt. That being said, I've always hated the word vibe. But boy, that's an unfortunate
Gotcha, pal.
That's an unfortunate wardrobe choice today. That being said, love Mark Bricky stuff. Go watch his stuff, buy his merch. Anyway, that being said, you walk in and you feel a different feeling than you did when you walked in from the Downtown Disney archway on the other side of the ESPN zone back when the entrance was there. It's just a different feeling. It's a different vibe, as it were. That's all. Right. I'll stop talking about vibes now.
That's good. Maybe I should go stop by. Check it out.
You should. Bring me. Let's go. And you know what we'll do? We will go to Tiendita, or however you.
Hey, you said it right. I knew you were going to say that.
You're going to pick up one of these. Oh my gosh! I believe it's called Benuelos.
I think it's. I think it's a Buñuelo.
Of course it is. Of course I screwed it up. That being said, so I was texting for those of you that are not Eric. Because Eric's the only one who knows this. I'm texting Eric back and forth when I'm at Downtown Disney the other night, and I'm trying this Boon way.
I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up. You keep talking.
I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it. Well, this thing that you see on your screen was fantastic, and I expected it to be a lot different. I didn't like that it was different than what I expected it to be, and then it grew on me. I thought it was going to be like a soft churro kind of thing almost, but no, it's a hard shell, deep fried piece of goodness, and it's got all the cinnamon sugar on it and everything. Oh my gosh, it was delicious. That whole area, hand on my heart, I never walked into the Catal building when it was there. I never got to go to Catal.
Really?
Never once did, and I'm bummed about it because I wanted to. I had family that worked there, and I still didn't go. But this was my first time walking into that building, ? And anybody who's been to Tiendita knows you go up and you order on this kiosk, and then you wait for your food somewhat inside, somewhat outside. Beautiful kitchen around you. What a cool concept. Centrico looks amazing. I've heard reviews that it's not amazing, but I've seen what it looks like, and I want to go and try it. So, and of course, I want to go to Paseo too. But we'll see if I ever get into that building. I never went in when it was Catal. So who says I'm going to go upstairs now? That being said, everything looks great over there, and I'm excited for Downtown Disney's future.
So am I. Buñuelos, by the way. We were close. Close enough.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It was delicious. That's what I think.
Thing looks delicious. I'd love to get some of that. So yeah, maybe we'll have to stop by. Yes. Interesting theme about today. We talked about a bunch of different places that are about to be on its third iteration, right? So we have Test Track. We have Tortilla Joe's. A lot of people don't remember Tortilla Joe's was not the original restaurant in that building. And then you look at La Brea Bakery, turned into Earl, turned into maybe Porto's. So a lot of places getting to their 3.0 stage in life. So lots to be excited about on both coasts.
Don't like the pod? Find us wherever you want. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, SpeakPipe, X, YZ, who cares? Find us wherever you can. Like the pod, subscribe, rate and review, whatever it might be. We always want to hear it. We've had a couple of cool comments on YouTube saying that we're funny. I didn't think that anyone
saw that.
I didn't think anyone thought we were funny except for you and me. So welcome to the crew.
I appreciate it. You know, all it takes is one.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I'll take it. Make sure you vote in the Drafting the Magic This or That Summertime Showdown. The polls are going all week long. We'll have a little bit more information released about that in just a little bit. But you've been watching Beyond the Draft here on the Drafting the Magic YouTube channel and wherever else you watched it. Actually, we'll start like this. This is Christian Elton. That has been Erik Pesolano. Erik, your final thoughts.
Oh, I'm glad we named that bracket competition after an entire sentence. It's like we actually are in the Disney mindset. I don't think it was long enough. We should have added 7 or 8 more words.
We're working on it.